Hello world of YouTube. My name is Archie, writer of short stories, poems, and lyrics. Today I have a short story, but it is true. It's not my writing. It's a newspaper article of a boy that's been missing for 32 years. His name is Taj Narbonne, and I'm going to be going over sections of this, parts, and I think it's time he has a chance to be known. I mean, if you go looking up on YouTube today about the boy, you type in the boy in the box, and you would find that he's been missing. I mean, he has never been identified, and this happened like in the late 20s, early 30s of the 1900s, and I don't think he'll ever be identified because of the simple fact that back then they didn't have forensics. Back then they could only go on gut-wrenching feelings, which this is what this story is all about. Me having one good gut-wrenching feeling, old-fashioned ways, and I'm telling you the beliefs that I have in the story. I think that maybe I will crack something open and help out the head detective in this case. His name is Detective Abishon of the Leominster Police Department. This runaway took place, which is what they call it, a runaway, on 15 Maple Street in Leominster. And the reason why I'm taking interest in this is because I knew Taj. A brief encounter I had with him when we were younger, whether it been through a group of kids or a family meeting with another family. I know somewhere down the line through 79 and 81 I met him, and I used to go to a house in Leominster, 133 Mechanic Street, and there was a family there my parents used to know. And like I said, there's so much stuff that has happened since I've opened this newspaper article that is literally just having me freaked out every night when I go to bed, because I gotta think about it. Just think about it. A little bit here and there. Yeah, it's crazy. Let me get showing you a picture of the missing kid. You got the right corner, that's Taj himself. You got the enhancement of what, 32 years enhancement, you know, photo there. You got Detective Abishon down here, and I'm telling you, this story, I get another I like to say one thing. If you look at this picture, they say words. You can say a million. You can say, what is it? Oh, a picture can say a million words, right? What I see in this picture, and I'm sure you will see too. Let me try and get a little closer. What I think that this kid is, and I know the face of people that, you know, like Charlie Manson, or people like, you know, Ted Bundy, and all these serial killers. You see faces, and I've studied faces in books that I've collected and read stories, and people that laugh and give, you know, the frown of a dead man. You know, the face of evil. And as you can see this face down here, I see a peaceful, loving, you know, joyful kid. I don't see no kid that could run away from his mother, which he had a close bond with throughout the story, which you'll find out when I read it, you know, that he could have never done what he have done, and he, you know, just, it's a sad story, and I just can't see how they could just leave it as it was. I got 4 kids, and I couldn't bear to think of 32 years. 32 years will be this year that Taj Narbonne has been missing. And to think of my kids been missing that long, I would have already went to the nut house. I'd already checked into a 5th floor hospital. You know, that's ludicrous to think. 32 years. I mean, you will hear Taj's mother and what she has to say about this 32 years later, but, you know, it's sad. But this story and how I'm going to do it is my thoughts and my theories. Everything that I think. And I'm not calling, you know, Detective Abishon, you know, out, calling him out, saying he don't know, this, you know, I'm just doing my gut feeling of where I think he is. And when I know, and you know, the freaky stuff that's happened to me in the story is, one, when I first read this article, I read something saying Naples Street Woods. My wife 2 days later read the same article and said, what the hell are you talking about? There's nothing about Naples Street Woods in here. There's a Christine Street in here. And she was even saying, I had a feeling my name was in the story, and, you know, some freaky stuff she came up with. Oh, and then all of a sudden, there's my name. I'm like, so I had to go over the story again and again and again, 10 times before I said, you know, where did it go? Freaky stuff. I had a dream that I found him 2 weeks later in the woods that I think he's in. You know, the people that lived on 133 Mechanic Street, the guy's name was Pat, I forget his wife's name, but I seen him in the summer last year at a Walmart, and, you know, I wasn't sure if it was them, but I could remember his face, just like I can remember Taj's face. And then I had my kids with me. It was all chaos because they're running around the store, my 3-year-old, and then I turned to go to say something, they were gone. I was like, you know, I should have said something when I saw them, but here I am reading the story, things coming up from Leominster, and there they are, you know, and just, it's just a gut-wrenching feeling I have that I know that I think where he is, he could be. I mean, I'm not going against Detective Abishon because he says he's at the end of the street between Naples Street and Christine Street, but it's like a quarter of a mile, almost a quarter of a mile to get there. And if this guy, the stepfather, who is the main suspect, if he either walked there or had a car, he had an hour and a half time frame to bury the body. An hour and a half. Now to dig a hole, you know, it takes a while. And I think the hole was pre-dug. You know, I even went to Detective Abishon and had to talk with him to think of what I thought. And you know, he said it wasn't a waste of his time of me coming in. I mean, he probably thinks, you don't know nothing, blah, 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 but I don't know. All I'm looking for in the end of this is to maybe get some volunteer help work, because I know 2 men, if I was to help them, ain't gonna cut the ground, because these grounds, they're big wooded areas, you know. And I'll be going step by step over where I think he could be. There's other spots too, which I'm gonna do, you know, in other sessions, because I only got 15 minutes. But like I said, in the next part, I'm gonna read you the article, and and then after that, I'm gonna go over it a little bit, and then hopefully by then on the 4th part, I'll have a video camera And we're gonna go straight to Naples Street. And we're gonna talk about the time range from Naples Street to the end of Christine Street. And that's another thing. At the end of Christine Street used to be a set of woods. Now they say that he could be buried there. But back in 1982, if Taj was buried in the woods, why did they allow a house to be built in a cul-de-sac? You know? And I talked to the lady that owns the house. She was there when they were passing out flyers back in 1982. So that tip that of him being in them woods had to have been long way after. Late 80s, early 90s, 2006. It says in the article they went looking for him in them woods, but this is a certain time of the day that you got to do this stuff. That also is explained in the paper. But I mean, what brings me close to this story, like I said, other things is when Taj Narbonne, his nightmare ended, my nightmare begun. You see, we have something in common. We both come from mental and physical abuse homes, which it don't say in the article that he was physically abused, just mentally abused, being called the White King. But I think he was physically abused, and you will agree with that once you hear the article. And between me and him, the only difference is one thing, is I was a fighter. I fought everybody that I had interacted with, my mother's boyfriends and his kids, father's girlfriend and their kids, her kids. You know, it wasn't easy taking in new family members, and I can relate with Taj. He had a stepfather for 2 years that did what he did to him. 2 years. Me, it was like four years. So that's why I'm related with this kid. Not, like I said, I met him briefly, and it was we have so much in common. And I'm just telling you, it's just freaky how this story came about and what's happened in between. And like I said, Naples Street Woods ain't even in there, and I read it. And I'll say it through this whole session of parts, believe it or not. But I think I have a communication with him through the dead. I think he's living in Lingo, and I think he's wandering the streets over there. And I've done, you know, everything I could to drive here, to drive there, and I'm going to be bringing you to places that are in this article and places that are not. And we're going to go through it all. I'm going to explain it all, my thoughts, my theories. I'm not going to slander nor point fingers at people that, you know, ain't doing nothing about it. But hey, it's only so much one can do, you know. But this is my documentary. I think Taj deserves this. We're going to get him out there. I'm going to get him out there. And like I said, all I want out of this in the end is maybe a little help for Detective Abishon to do his field, you know, work. Get some people out there and search and dig up and find Taj and put him in a nice, peaceful resting place for what he deserves. Not out in them woods where his stepfather put him, you know, and just roam scared. And I think spirits can be scared too, you know. It's crazy thoughts, but hey, they're out there. So I'm almost out of time. Hopefully I can get in what I can when I read you the article. If not, I'll have to do another section, like I said, of going over what I've read. Other than that, we'll be seeing you soon, and I hope you enjoy this documentary I'm putting together. But let me mind you that it is a wild, twisted, demented maze, and it's gonna make you think you're gonna be coming up with your own thoughts and theories. I think.